Hey everyone, it is Vicky Magic here, and we are with you today with Wake Up, You've Got This. So this podcast is all about inspiring our listener to wake up to realise that they actually already have all that they need to be all that they ever want to be within them. So welcome today to my interviewee, who is Roxanne McCarty-O'Kane. So Roxanne, tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome.
Thank you so much, Vicky. It's very exciting to be here today. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure.
So myself, I'm a qualified journalist. I've been in the industry since 2007. Initially got in just for the excitement of having my name in print and all that fun stuff. I'm sure you know the feeling, turning that page and seeing your name there for the first time. Absolutely. It's always a bit of a buzz.
Yeah.
So I've written for quite a lot of different publications and different mediums over the years. So everything from regional newspapers and magazines through to lifestyle magazines, online forums, all that fun stuff. So I had a bit of a taste of everything. So recently, though, I made a bit of a switch and I am now a non-fiction ghostwriter. So my core drive now is to help people with incredible stories to bring them out into the world in the form of a book.
So anybody out there listening who's thinking that they'd like to write a book, you're potentially their right-hand person.
Absolutely, and it's what I love the most. It's absolutely incredible.
Fantastic, because I know there's definitely a lot of people like that. So tell us a little bit about your why. Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, getting into journalism initially, it was all about giving people a voice and giving them a platform. You know, I was always really drawn to community, to heart-based stories. They called me the fluff girl, really, because I really got into the human interest side of things and I wasn't too, phased on politics and law and all that sort of stuff. It was all about the people for me, which is why community publications really were an anchor for me and helped me to get those messages out, particularly for, smaller community groups who are doing absolutely amazing things every day, flying under the radar. So, yeah, that was the driver for me in journalism. My why now as a ghostwriter is that, but compounded even more. So I was able to meet so many incredible people. I was able to interview celebrities, national and international, which is always exciting. But I found that the most incredible stories actually lay with people that you'd never heard of before. So these people that work under the radar and really just put their heart and soul into what it is that they're doing. And I found more and more that these are the people that have the most powerful stories to tell. They've lived incredible lives, they've seen incredible things, and they have so much to share with the people around them to inspire them, to educate them. And being able to put that into a book form is now easier than ever before with self-publishing and assisted independent publishing available to people. So yeah, it was just a next logical step for me to use my skill sets, and my why is now more strong than ever because I can, that buzz when you've worked with someone for a few months and you give them that manuscript and they've got tears, they're excited, they're doing a happy dance, all of the emotions rolled into this one product, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, so I guess in a way you empower them to have the confidence to tell their story.
Absolutely. And confidence is a huge thing too, because, you meet these people that have done such incredible things and they're so modest about it. They don't see the significance and how much of an impact they can have if they step into their power and really own what they've created and what they've ventured through and shared that with people around them.
Absolutely. So obviously this podcast is called Wake Up, You've Got This. And so I love to ask people, when was it that they woke up and, realised that they actually did have everything that they needed to be all that they wanted to be? So for you, was there a time when you actually woke up?
Yes, absolutely. And, it was a bit of a process for me. I think it is for most people.
Yeah.
I didn't quite have the lightning bolt realization or epiphany, unfortunately. Yep. But for me, it was, I was let go from my last full-time job in journalism a few years back now. And, I had a young family. I was freaking out about paying the bills and all that sort of stuff, as you do when you find yourself jobless all of a sudden. So for me, I leapt into action. I'm not good at being idle by any stretch of the imagination. And within a week, I did have a lot of freelance work coming my way. So I ventured into freelance. And I was absolutely blessed, don't get me wrong, to have found so many clients that I really loved working with in such a short period of time. But I was also then juggling half a dozen clients with also trying to raise my children, being a good wife, making sure that dinner was on the table, all that sort of stuff. And I psyched myself up thinking that I could be Superwoman and that I could do everything, as all mothers do. We want to be able to do everything.
For a day.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I could go for a few weeks. But the reality was that I couldn't sustain that. It wasn't a sustainable lifestyle for me. And I was just going through the cycle of burnout. So I'd be like, this is awesome. I've got this, working late nights, putting the kids to bed, going to work for, 3 or 4 hours, going to bed. The kids are up, by my bedside at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, getting no rest. Yeah. But I would, I'd propel myself forward. I'm like, I've got this. I can do this. But the reality was that every few weeks I would have, I guess, what I would call a mini breakdown. So
a meltdown.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I'd be snappy. My poor husband, he's a saint to still be with me after going through all of that. But I'd be snappy. I'd be moody. I'd be getting angry over the silliest little things. And then the flip side of that is, something would happen that maybe was out of my control, which is a fact of life. And I would find myself in tears, unable to cope, my resilience was just gone. So I was lost. I was looking for something that I could really channel my passion and energy into. My clients were amazing, but I just wasn't getting, there was something missing. There was one particular publication which I stayed with until the end of last year, which absolutely, that lit my passion. That was incredible. But it was only a part-time gig, so I needed to find something to really float my boat, I guess.
Yep.
And, so I started looking for answers and, thinking career change, thinking, maybe I need to go back to uni, maybe I need to restudy, maybe I need to, I was thinking all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
And then I went along to a businesswomen's conference, actually, the Shine Businesswomen here on the Sunshine Coast. And I guess it just flicked on so many switches for me. And I thought, I've got to think outside the box a little bit more.
Awesome.
And how I can, reuse my existing skill set in a different way.
Yep.
To just get me passionate again. And as soon as ghostwriting was mentioned, I'm like, that's it. That's my realization. And then it was just a matter of me going, okay, well, how do I get there?
Yeah. And
personal development hadn't been a thing for me up until then, obviously, for me to be in that cycle, right? So I thought, how can I make this happen? And, I could plan out all these amazing things and then I would just look at it and go, oh, yeah, that sounds amazing, but, I can't do that. Who am I? No one's going to listen to me. No one's going to, think that I'm amazing. So I just kind of, plateaued for a bit there. And then it was that I realised that it was myself that was the barrier. Mm-hmm. I was stopping myself from stepping into being that person and from doing everything that I had dreamed of doing. So
that's fantastic, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening to us right now that, have either been in the exact same position or maybe even are now. So what happened and how did you respond to what happened?
Yeah, so I guess it was a bold step in that I went looking for a business coach to kind of help me. So I studied at university. I had my journalism degree. I knew how to create a story, how to find someone's why and make it beautiful. But I didn't know how to run a business. So I didn't, I was thinking.
And get those clients on board in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just, you have to sell yourself. That sounds horrible, but you really have to put yourself out there and say, hey, look at me, this is what I can do for you. And for me, that was a very uncomfortable place. Yeah. And as you know, you can't run a business unless you have clients and people who come.
Otherwise, it's just an idea, really.
That's right, or a hobby, that kind of, I thought that I needed a coach to help me, to work out GST and figure out how to read profit and loss statements and all that fun stuff. Yep. But coach actually opened my eyes to personal development, and that's where I had the most growth. And that still surprises me to this day. Just how powerful it is to actually take the time to look at who you are, what drives you, why you think the way you do, why you react to things the way you react to them. And that just changed my world. It rocked my world. It's been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what difference now has this made to your life?
Yeah, well, I'm a lot more confident. A few years ago, I wouldn't have said, yes, Vicky, I'd love to come and chat on your podcast, because I would be so scared of even, coming in here and putting myself out there. But, on a personal level, I feel like I've grown so much. I'm a lot more confident. I've even stepped away from freelancing, and I'm throwing myself completely into my ghostwriting. So writing books for people, showing people through writing mentorships how to write their own books. And I also have an online interview series as well, which is something I never imagined I would ever have. That's on a professional level. And personally, I feel a lot more complete. I feel a lot more sure of myself and of where I'm going. And I think a lot of that comes down to being in alignment. So my why is now in alignment with my actions, and it's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in the ghostwriting, is there like a favourite that you've done so far that you'd like to share with us?
It's always tricky, because with ghostwriting you can't, can't disclose anything really. I sign, very strict confidentiality agreements. But I had been fortunate enough to work with 8 aspiring authors over the last year and a half.
Fantastic.
And, 3 of them have published authors already, so they've already got their incredible message out there into the world. And the rest are all in various stages of editing, formatting and design. So getting very close, which is very exciting to see. And, even though, when I got into journalism, I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited to see my name in print. With ghostwriting, your name's not anywhere. So it's not even about that recognition for me anymore. It's about knowing that I've helped someone to achieve their dream, and, they've now got a book out there in the world that's sharing their message and transforming lives, which is incredible.
Yeah. Could there not be a book about ghostwriting?
There could be.
I think there could be. I think
there is one in the process.
Yeah.
So yes, I have been very busy writing for other people, but I am dedicating some time to writing for myself as well, and to getting my own book out this year.
Yeah, because I think that would be a really good way of actually, letting people know that this is something that they can actually do if they don't have the writing skill, but they do have a story to tell. That actually there's someone else that can do that, because people may not even know that.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I always joke, but there is a sense of truthness to it that, ghostwriting is a bit of an underground society. Not a lot of people, unless they're specifically looking for you, will know that there's a ghostwriter out there that can help. So
yeah, absolutely. So the next question's one that I absolutely love. So it's, what is your number one tip or life lesson or tool that you use frequently that works, that maybe changed your life, that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so as I've already kind of discussed with you, Vicky, the main thing for me personally, and from what I see in all of my clients, is the self-belief, the self-worth. And, obviously I've shared a bit of my journey here, but there's been pretty much 100% strike rate of every person that I've worked with not fully believing in themselves and what it is that they have to offer the world. So I have a beautiful example if you're happy for me to share one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't use names, obviously.
No, that's okay.
But there was a beautiful woman that I worked with. She was, nationally and internationally renowned in her field. She had the expertise. She had a massive following. She had it all. And she came to me for help with writing her book. So she wanted to write it herself, which is beautiful. And I was giving her some guidance and mentorship along the way. And so we had our first session, and she sat down. This was in the Ultimate Writers group that I run. And she comes out with, I'm going to back up everything that I say with scientific proof. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to go through the journals. I'm going to contact a friend of mine at the university who can do some actual studies with me and all this sort of stuff. And the alarm bells were ringing for me because it wasn't authentic her. She's very earthy. She's very in touch with her intuition, and she communicates beautifully in that format. So I was kind of gently trying to encourage her away from that and to believe in herself and what she had to offer. But she was very set in this. And it was a few weeks down the track that she came to me and she goes, Roxy, I've just realised I don't need to do any of this stuff. Like, I know everything. I've just got to write it myself. And I'm like, hallelujah, that's amazing. But just seeing her, go through the process and having that realisation it's just incredible. And it's happened with quite a lot of my clients because, they've lived these incredible lives, but for them it's just run of the mill.
Yeah.
So working with someone, even in a group context, in the writers group, working with other people and sharing their journeys and getting those reactions of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. That's amazing. Then they sit there and go,
that is amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so if we were to give some advice to, the people potentially listening to this as to how they can have more belief, because I even had someone recently, read a post that I wrote, and she sent me a private message saying, Vicky, how do I believe more in me? Mm-hmm. I want to, but how? So how would you answer that?
Yeah, so I think it's giving yourself some space. I think it's giving yourself an opportunity to, space is a huge thing in such a busy world. Yeah. Everyone's running around on the rat wheel. To give yourself some space to actually, congratulate yourself for your achievements, to review some of the things that you've done, what could I have done differently, and learn from them and evolve from them. So I think in doing that, you learn so much more about yourself, you learn to trust yourself, and you learn, how to accept yourself for who you are, because acceptance is a huge thing in being able to, put yourself out there and be your authentic self all of the time.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so our next question is gone. No. All good. Oh, yes. So this one I love because it has varying different answers. So I ask everyone as obviously the same question. Have you got this thing called life?
Yes, I must admit I did get a bit of chills when I read this and thought, do I really have this? So it's really a thought-provoking question. And I did spend some time thinking on it. I went out to some falls and sat and had a bit of a think on it. And I don't think that I actually have got it just yet. But that said, I feel like it's very much about the journey. So for me, I feel like if I've ever got it, then I'm about to go up to heaven. So, for me, I feel like I am on the right path though. This journey of self-development, of believing in myself and of what I have to offer the world has definitely put me on the right path.
Yep.
And, I'm accepting all of these incredible opportunities and meeting so many amazing people that I am definitely on the right path. So have I got it completely? No, but I feel like I'm on the right track.
Yeah, and I love that answer because I do think that we actually don't ever fully have it.
No.
Because there's always something to learn and there's always another, sort of growth, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Just around the corner. So, yeah, we haven't got it unless we're done.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
so I love that answer. Well
thank
done.
you,
Yeah.
thank you. And something that's always resonated with me, actually one of the first things I did on my personal development journey was go on a Find Your Fire retreat.
Yep.
Literally walking on hot coals, which is something I never would have thought I would do. But Keurig Ashley, who runs that with his wife Erin,
Yes.
he says, if you're not evolving, you're dissolving.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's something that has always stuck with me.
Yeah, that's right. If you're not moving forward, you're standing still.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's absolutely true. So I want to ask you to share and potentially encourage our listener around the belief that, potentially they too can have this eventually through growth and through all, sort of learning. And what encouragement would you give them? Is there any tip or tool that you would give them towards believing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, most of my life I felt like I didn't have a voice. I was, your traditional people pleaser.
Yep.
Always, trying to make friends and, doing the right thing by everyone else so that I wouldn't, have enemies. That's a very strong word. But, I didn't like the idea of people not liking me.
So that everyone would like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think, to truly have it, you've got to, or, be on the path to truly having it.
Yeah.
You've really got to, step into yourself and step into your power and know, as you say, that everything is within you, that you've got all of the tools, like your intuition is always there. It's whether or not you listen to it. So I was a classic for having gut feelings about things and doing the exact opposite.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, and
when did you wake up to that?
Well, it was part of my of my personal development journey. So was going, oh, hang on, I was actually right. In those instances, why did I not listen to myself? It's because I never trusted myself.
Yeah.
I never trusted my inner voice.
Back
and
to
what
that
it was
belief.
saying. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Belief in yourself and belief in what you have to offer. So I always say, it takes real bravery to be able to, chuck your captain's hat on, step up to the wheel and steer your own ship, steer your own ship, because it takes, bravery. You've got to know where you're going. You've got to trust that if you're off course that you can correct it back in the right path. And for me, it's not, when you say personal development, it's very much about the community that you have around you as well. So, my husband, I mentioned before, Chris, he's been an absolute rock for me. He's believed in myself believed in me long before I believed in myself.
Yeah.
And
that's often the way too, isn't
it?
It is.
Yeah.
The people around us can see,
absolutely,
but we can't always see. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. So he's on my ship. He's like my first mate. And then, I've got my family, my friends, who've been an incredible support network. And also I've found great comfort in connecting with other business people, so women and men, and learning from the journeys that they've gone on. There's no point in reinventing the wheel when you've got these so many incredible examples on the Sunshine Coast of people that have tread the path before you. So having all of them on my ship has really helped me to steer forward and really anchor myself in the belief that I've got this.
Yeah.
And I would say to anyone, any of your listeners, just to be careful who you have on the ship, because, there may be people who are ready to chuck an anchor in behind you and stop you from where you're going.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then, there's others who are, who don't trust that you've got it and they're ready to take the wheel off of you and take that control back. So, just being aware of who it is you've got on your ship.
And surrounding yourself with the people that light you up rather than, take your flame away.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important.
So thank you for coming along today. So in closing, is there sort of one last thing you want to say? And then also, is there some kind of offer that you would like to offer to our listeners? Yeah. And if there is, what is that and how can they claim it?
Of course. So, we've spoken a lot today about self-belief and about how many people have these incredible stories in them. And obviously it's my why to bring these stories out into the world and to really highlight them in all their power and importance. And so I'd like to say to people, trust in the importance of the message that you have inside you and know that by bringing it out into the world, you can really impact some lives. So I do run some writers groups, Ultimate Writers Group, which runs 4 times a year. But I would also like to encourage people to come onto my website, which is roxannewriter.com.au, and just book in a call with me. And if you mention that, you heard me on this podcast, we can absolutely extend the time from an hour out to 90 minutes. I'd be happy to do that for free of charge. And that way we can really hone in on what it is that your story is, what are your key messages, who your target audience are, all those important things. Because once you find your why, those words are just going to flow out of you, and that book will essentially write itself.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, yeah, I'd be more than happy to guide people through that process.
So I just want to reiterate the website again. So it's...
Yes, so it's Roxanne Writer, I'll spell it for you, RoxanneWriter.com.au.
Fantastic. So thanks a million, Roxanne. It's been amazing to have you on today. I've loved hearing your story, and I love the fact that you're not just here to tell your story, but that you're actually passionate about helping other people tell their story. So thank you for coming along today. Thank you to each and every one of you for listening today, and we look forward to catching up with you again next time on Wake Up, You've Got This with Vicky Magic.